All right, welcome to 3MFAers podcast. Today we are here with our good friend, fellow cohort member from the Actors Studio, Max Pheifer, coming in from California. How you doing, buddy?
Is that a good sound for radio?
Yes. Max is practicing his mouth sounds. You just have to make sure
you keep doing it though, because it's part of. You've established it as part of your character. So for consistency,
thank you. I mean, I'm glad. It's good to be.
We're off to a wonderful start.
This is exactly how I envision it, you guys.
Really?
Starting just like this.
Max, tell the world about yourself. The whole world is listening, so make sure you don't say anything embarrassing.
Oh man, well, good thing I haven't yet already.
Good thing that cherry remains unpopped.
So I'm an actor just like these guys. I'm a kind of wannabe composer too.
No, stop it.
Working on that.
You are a composer.
Don't do that. Very talented.
And I'm just kind of clunking along just like everybody is these days.
Have you picked up anything or done a lot of stuff over this quarantine process the last 10 months?
Yeah, were you productive or were you lazy?
Kind of both. I go through cycles. I mean,
that's fair.
I didn't used to surf before, and now I'm like a surfer, dude.
Oh, really?
No way.
Super,
bro, you fucking shred the gnar.
Dude, that's fucking dope.
Dude, I'm shredding the fucking gnar.
You're fucking catching waves,
I'm catching some sick ones, dude.
Hence, getting up earlier. That's what you're saying. I got you.
Is that why you've been getting up early to catch those fucking waves?
Just to shred the gnar, dude.
Shred the gnar. Max very graciously is up at 6
California
7 in the morning.
time. Yeah, so it's like 7 o'clock.
Mm.
In your opinion, which movie has more faithfully recreated surfing scenes, Point Break or Lilo and Stitch?
Okay, whoa. Johnny Tsunami.
Or
Johnny
Secret Option C.
Great pull.
Johnny
I
Tsunami.
have option D, Blue Crush.
Option E, Soul Surfer?
The thing about Point Break is...
Yeah, tell us what the thing about
Keanu Reeves stands up on the board his first time surfing at nighttime, and that's totally realistic.
Okay, good. I didn't know
so that's why I really appreciated that they just captured the realism there. That, like, he just totally pulled it off, like, in the dark. I mean, he never surfed before. Like, it makes a lot of sense. So
sure. So your answer is
Point
your final
Break.
answer is Point Break
for sure.
Over Johnny Tsunami.
Swayze.
Hold on. Let's remember
All right,
Keanu was a hockey goalie in Canada before becoming an actor. So I feel like
when ice melts, it's basically water. So he has that skill set.
And skates are basically a surfboard.
Not basically, it is water.
So
no, I said that. And yeah.
Also, I feel like my chair is pretty squeaky. So sorry to you guys.
It's okay,
but nah, y'all good.
It's all right.
Nah, squeaky sexy.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
I mean, I just got done acting in a leather shirt, so it's fine.
You're never done.
I'm never
acting
done.
in a leather shirt. That's you just take pauses. It's like clapping. You're never done clapping. You're just pauses between claps become
exactly 100%. So that's cool, Max. So surfing, and then you've been writing music, or I know,
yeah.
That's great.
But yeah,
are you working on any longer projects? Are you just kind of honing the craft?
Well, I was kind of just making things willy nilly. But now I'm working on this video I'm gonna come out with.
Oh my god.
It's just a funny little thing. I don't want to say too much. I'll send it to you guys. Hopefully you enjoy it.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Basically,
cool.
So it's let's just say Melania is the brunt of the joke in this. And it's Christmas.
Hey man, that's not cool.
It's Christmas themed.
What are you doing? That's not cool. What are you talking about? That's the first lady. You have to show some fucking respect.
I know, you're right.
She's an immigrant. She came here, the American dream, married a rich son of a real estate baron, catapulted into the upper echelons of New York social scene. Just like everybody else, she worked her way up. Hard work. You can't be fucking trashing her.
She warrants our respect, but
she really does.
I want to piss all over that.
You want to piss on her?
No.
You want to pull an R. Kelly on Melania? If you don't know, sorry, something else. Max is very politically conscious.
He is. So it's
we don't have to talk about it. We don't have to talk about it, but I wanted to bring it up because I felt like when I came into school, I was very oh, look at me, I know so much. And then Max was like, you know fucking nothing.
Whoa, is that how it went?
And then I was like, shit, yeah. You don't remember that very aggressive conversation that you introduced yourself to me at? No. But no, you're very inspiring. He inspired me to become more aware. And then I was like, I went from being like, the Democrats are like kind of okay. I mean, they're not Republicans. And now I'm like, if you're not anything right of Bernie Sanders, I hate you. So, so
thank you, Max.
But that's not me. I'm not that like. That's not how I look at it.
I'm saying I surpassed you.
Okay, right.
The student has become the master. Okay. I'm saying if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be such an insufferable prick. So it's really your fault.
I mean, hey, I'm glad.
No, we've had our fair share of discussion the last 10 months here because it's been nothing but what else are you gonna do but watch?
It's important stuff.
Max, who would you say are some of your favorite composer's biggest musical influences?
Number one for sure, Max Richter.
Called it
English German
because
dude.
Of the name. Because you guys have the same
That's
name.
the only reason. Like his music's actually pretty bad, but his name's Max, and that gives me hope. Gives me a lot of juicy, just like tender
representation.
Hope.
Am I right?
Yeah. I feel represented now. I for once feel represented out there.
Okay.
Is number 2 R. Kelly?
As we mentioned before.
Well, R. Kelly, of course, is a revered film composer. So,
Could you imagine we just found out R. Kelly had been doing like Hans Zimmer's music?
Yeah, he was ghostwriting Hans.
Yeah, he's ghostwriting it.
Hans Zimmer's he's like, I have a confession. So you guys have to promise not to get upset because I know he's like not very cool anymore. But
He's not very cool anymore.
No, but Hans Zimmer, I would say we're both big Nin guys.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
guys.
people who I don't really know any real film composers, but like people that are like well steeped into that world, like they'd probably roll your eyes if you said Hans Zimmer because he's just it's like so obvious, but
he's really good.
He's great.
He changed the game. Bro.
He's fucking dope. I love him. So yeah, he's up there too. Nicholas Bertel is incredible. He does the score for what's it called? The show with Brian Cox on HBO, the Business Guys. Succession.
Business Guys. That's what it should be called. Business Guys. Brian Cox.
What the fuck is Adam McKay doing? Like, it should be called Business Guys.
Business Guys' Angry Family.
That's basically what The Sopranos is too.
Yeah.
Every show on HBO can just be called Business Guys.
But he also did Moonlight and If Beale Street Could Talk.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
And The King, which is that Netflix show, the Henry V
garbage.
I
movie.
liked it.
Well, no. Okay, Brandon, can I ask you, did you like it or do you like Timothée Chalamet?
Both.
Liar.
Like, if you took Timothée Chalamet out, would you still enjoy the story?
Yes, but you know what it is? It is a bias. It's because I like, what's his name? The guy who directed it.
Michaud, yeah.
No, his writing partner on it. Joel Edgerton.
Oh, he's great in it. So was Pattinson.
Yeah.
As that.
So
Pattinson I liked because it seemed like he was trying to start a war with France.
Yeah.
That accent was so bad.
I know, but
he went for it.
Yeah, me too. I bought it. Like,
I feel like it was just such a butchering of like the original Shakespeare. I couldn't get it.
Oh yeah, for sure. But anyway, the music was great. I fucking loved the music and I thought it was awesome. That's just
How do you feel about Danny Elfman? I really like him.
I like him too. I actually liked. I mean, obviously he has much more notable credits than this, but he did Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Did he really?
And I really because Alan Silvestri did the rest of the Avengers stuff, and he did Captain America, and I really like Danny Elfman did like a bunch of his own spin on the original Alan Silvestri theme for Avengers in Age of Ultron, and I thought that was really cool. What he came out with.
Elfman, he's great.
Yeah, he's awesome. He did like make the really douchey comment once about it was in an interview and he was doing Justice League and he was implementing like his original Tim Burton Batman theme into it just for like certain moments in the movie. And the guy, I forget like what the context was, but basically the guy said like, oh, so like, what was the like means of you working in the, like this original theme? Like what music will you hear for Batman? And Elfman's just like, you'll hear Batman's theme. It's like, well, what do you mean Batman? There's been a lot. Like, you're talking about like the Hans Zimmer one, or he's just like, no, you'll hear Batman's theme. And he's like referring to his own from the movies.
Well, I feel like it's obvious though. Like, what does the guy expecting him to say? Well, like, I'm reincorporating the music I wrote into this movie. So which one? No,
I explained it bad. It was when he asked that question, there was no premise of like, oh, you incorporated your original music. Yeah, he just said like, what music will you hear for Batman since you've done it before? That's what the question was.
Oh, like the definitive Batman theme, which is the one I made.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I explained that horribly. Yeah, so he's just like,
no,
you'll hear Batman's theme. It's like, what? So the guy interviewing you is just supposed to know you decided to like recycle your original music, like, and then you're also shitting upon the other interpretations
how
of it.
It would have been though if he was like, you're gonna hear the Simpsons theme.
Dude. I would love that movie so much more if anytime there was like a fight scene, it was just Simpsons underscoring the whole, and you just hear Bart just like is the guy who like defeats Steppenwolf in the end. He's like, eat my shorts, man, and just like sends him to the fucking space.
Do you know whether he's doing the show or whatever they're doing for HBO Max, whatever you consider that?
The extended grimdark Zack Snyder masterpiece black and white cut.
I think that's a good question. I don't
I mean,
might have brought
imagine,
back
right?
Junkie XL because he was the guy.
He's great. I love his score for Fury Road.
Me too. I love that.
I don't really know his other work, but I really like the trailers with the fucking for that movie are so good. He's just great. Yeah, perfect for that kind of movie. Yeah. You know?
Max, I have a question. What is your take on temp music?
Temp
scoring movies. Check out there's a great YouTube channel called Every Frame of Painting, and Caleb and I had watched, and I'd highly recommend the entire library. Yeah. But they definitely have a section on scoring movies and how a lot of filmmakers choose temp music to kind of get the mood for the composer.
Like when you're cutting your film and editing, because you can do everything on the computer now. Film directors will have like existing music from other scores, and be like, okay, make it sound like this. And then so the directors, all the Hollywood scores sort of are starting to like kind of homogenize and sound the same, essentially.
Right.
Yeah. So when you mentioned like Age of Ultron, the Avengers and stuff, that was one of the most interesting points. Was like that nobody takes risks to create these new melodies or these themes for these franchises anymore because everyone just does the safe choice, the same. You know, they don't really add anything to the scene, but it also doesn't really take away anything. It's just there to make you feel whatever. Yeah. So I just didn't know if you had checked it out or if you had any thoughts as an artist who is in the creating music of his own, and you're really into how that is another layer of filmmaking and scoring and stuff like that.
I'm embarrassed. I didn't even know that was a thing really, but I think on some level it makes sense because if I were scoring something, I like to reference influences, or if someone were to say like, hey, I want you to make music for this like short movie or whatever, and like they sent me a bunch of other music to give me and like just to kind of get an idea of what the essence of what they're going for is, then I would appreciate that because that would help me know what direction to go in. But I think it definitely, like, if it is creating this sort of just like formulaic kind of uninspired generic approach to scoring films, then that probably presents a problem.
You said you made that comment about Elfman because in the video Josh is referencing, Elfman was like who was like, I fucking hate it, it's the worst practice, I'll never fucking listen to it, it's ruining. So I don't know, maybe Elfman's just a prick, I don't know.
I don't have no idea.
Right?
What?
What's that? Yeah. I mean, he's from Oingo Boingo, the most old school.
Oh my god!
But no, genuinely, he is.
I imagine when he's getting those, they're probably filled up with his old tracks. Which, how infuriating would that be?
Well, I think
cool. You know what I mean? Like,
for him, it was I listened to it once to get that thing, but then it's like, let me do my job and let me score the film. But that's what you were saying, Max. Like, it's like, if it definitely give me influences of how you want it to be, but then trust that I can, I know what I'm doing and I can compose something that's moving and it's, but it's when, what Caleb had mentioned, it's when directors use it to edit their film that like nobody can score to that because it's you're cutting your actual footage to
something you're
this
not going to even
existing
use.
Yeah,
music, and so it doesn't.
So you almost then can't even notice it,
Right.
Yeah.
because it's sort of it's just funny.
Yeah, that
Funny
sounds
It's an interesting
that
kind of
sounds
tidbit.
troublesome to a degree.
Have you done any acting at all while you've been in San Francisco? Or
No. I should there is voiceover stuff here though, so I should. But the thing is, I didn't mention this before, but I am studying information technology because
nice.
You're learning to code.
Well, actually not. We're learning to code. I'm basically learning to do the grunt work, help desk stuff or troubleshooting network issues and stuff like that.
Gonna be a genius. Gonna get a job at the Genius Bar.
You know me. I like my computer. So.
Hey, there he is.
Computer
Max
man.
has a colorful cast of characters. And you just met Computer Man.
That's Computer Man.
Where are you doing that?
I'm just taking. I'm subscribing to this service called IT Pro TV, actually.
Ooh,
and the course I'm watching is it's tailored to getting this specific certificate called CompTIA, which is, as far as I understand, the industry standard for entry level IT jobs.
Nice,
very cool.
So yeah, it's something I'm doing as well.
Hustling. I like that.
Seems like you're keeping busy.
Well, yeah, I'm working hard on lots of different things. And if theaters were open here in the Bay Area, I'd be auditioning right now. Right now, because there's great theater out
one
here.
Of the things that sure.
Yeah, there's some really good stuff. So I'm definitely itching for that. And
people think it's all about LA, but we're in San Francisco. We have, there's tons of stuff up here too.
It seems
we fucking catch waves in the morning and fucking do theater at night, bro.
But that's I always thought that from my understanding. As somebody, I've never been to California, but it always seemed like San Fran had or outside of LA had a lot more theater, and then LA was Hollywood and film stuff, right?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, because if you do theater in LA, you're like a joke.
Well, but
is what people think of you. I don't know if it's true. It's true. If you mention you do theater in LA, people are like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Why would you do that?"
I would do it. I just wouldn't I wouldn't be exclusively doing theater in LA.
Well,
yeah.
Right.
Is the La Jolla Playhouse? Is that kind of halfway between, or is it more closer to LA?
Oh my god. You're testing my California geography, and I'm embarrassed.
Bro, you don't. I'll fucking quiz you on the fucking one, the fucking
sure.
405, Mulholland Drive, bro.
I'm pretty sure that. Dude, don't even talk about the 5.
Don't even talk about the fucking 5, dude.
Dude, I'm from the Bay, dude. What road do you think I fucking take to go down to LA?
This could just be the whole thing.
Yeah. I think that's south of it. I think that's closer to San Diego.
Oh, is it the other way?
Yeah.
My East Coast is showing.
I have dual monitors here on my computer. I could just look it up. But there's good stuff down there, as there is here.
Well, yeah, San Diego has the Old Globe, and there's tons of theater down there.
Oh yeah.
Don't you guys have really good Shakespeare up there though? From my understanding,
in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Yes.
All those fucking Silicon Valley bros, they're we got to make sure that we get our Shakespeare in.
Yes.
We gotta.
But I'd say on the West Coast though, Ashland in Oregon is the Shakespeare place.
I mean, Oregon Shakespeare Fest obviously.
Yeah. But there's good stuff here. I've seen some good Shakespeare plays done in the Bay Area, just even at community theaters. So
cool. Very nice. So, all right. I guess, is there anything else that we want to
Brandon,
ask Max?
did you have something?
Yeah, it seems
I was going to do Mank.
We like hard cuts, or we like hard shifts here at 3M Affairs Podcast.
Yeah. So this week we had picked a David Fincher movie, so we're doing Zodiac, and at the same time, David Fincher's newest movie, Mank, was coming out on Netflix. So we're watching both this week, and I believe we're discussing Mank first. So, thoughts? Let's go around. Start with, I don't know, Caleb?
We'll start with our guests.
Max, what do you think?
Well, you guys
set the mood for the convo. I'm gonna laugh if you're I didn't see it.
Here's the thing. I didn't watch it. I was gonna do it. I swear. But you guys, I'm thoroughly prepared for this, I'd say, because I also watched Citizen Kane because I hadn't seen it.
Ooh.
I actually, Max,
Nice.
you called me, and Ryan and I checked out Citizen Kane right afterwards. So I actually did watch it as well before watching Mank.
So yeah, I mean, obviously, Citizen Kane is widely considered to be one of the best, if not the best, movie ever made.
Yeah, 4.5 stars.
So no hype.
Yeah, very low expectations going in.
But I liked both movies. Citizen Kane was, it was weird to watch because it's up there. It's like it's just up there in Hollywood lore. And I was actually surprised by how well they like, at least like for 1941, like how believable Orson Welles came across as like an old man when he was 26 when I think he was either 25 or 26 when he
was very young. He was a young lad,
and I thought he was great. Like I was kind of with older movies like that, like sometimes it could just, when you juxtapose the acting back then with kind of modern expectations, like you can kind of just feel like everybody's talking like this and that, but I don't know. Orson Welles was very charismatic to me.
Well, that was, Citizen Kane was like kind of the movie that sort of changed everything.
Yeah,
like it kind of reframed sort of how storytelling was done, like in terms of like narrative structure and like presentation and cinematography and acting styles. So it makes sense it would feel like very modern, because it is one of those things that everything kind of after kind of borrows from it and is kind of built off of it.
Right.
So that's, I think, why everybody's like, oh, it's the greatest movie ever made, because it's so influential. And it is also, I think, it's a very well done film. Yeah. Orson Welles is a crazy fucking egomaniac, but he's a very, very talented actor.
Who was playing Orson Welles in Mank?
Tom Burke.
I thought that guy was really good.
Tom Burke, British actor.
Yeah, I didn't recognize him from anything, but he was great. I liked him.
The casting was good in Mank, so that's like
David Fincher casts are always fucking puggers.
Here's the thing, so I would like William Randolph Hearst, who Kane was based on. If you look up pictures of him, he is like a spitting image of Jeff Daniels.
Really?
Really? Yeah,
That's
just
so
like
funny.
look up a picture of him like when he's older. He looks so much like Jeff Daniels. And Charles Dance, Tywin Lannister, a buddy from Game of Thrones. He was good, but it's just like cast Americans. I wanted them to cast some Americans. Gary Oldman's
I counted one. I counted one American.
Amanda Seyfried.
Amanda Seyfried.
Yeah, because I'm
sure there were more.
Lily Collins is British.
Arliss Howard too.
Oh yeah, he's American.
Tuppence Middleton's British. Gary Oldman's British, obviously.
Yeah.
Charles
Gary
Dance
Oldman
is British.
is technically whatever he wants to be at this point. Okay?
He's an actor; he can play any role.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So
right.
it was that. I mean, it doesn't seriously bother me, but like just a little bit.
I thought Charles Dance did a great job.
Yeah, he was good. But
Amanda Seyfried, I thought, did a fantastic job.
yeah,
She's 1,000% gonna win. There's no way she's not gonna win.
Really?
The Oscar.
You think so?
That's exactly the type of performance that wins Best Supporting Actress.
Really?
Like she's like in like the best scenes of the movie. She like does an accent. She transforms into a real person. I think like if she doesn't,
I can see it.
She's definitely okay. I'll say she's definitely getting nominated. And if she doesn't win, it's because it's a performance from a movie I haven't seen yet. Like there's just no way that she doesn't win.
Yeah, dude,
I thought she was great. She was my favorite part of it.
Yeah, I thought she was
Marion
fantastic
Davis.
too. She was so likable, man. Like it's so charismatic and yeah. She was fantastic.
Yeah, that scene with her and Garrett and Mank like walking around the palace. What is it called? The palace.
It's
so good.
It's called Hearst Castle.
Hearst Castle.
Actually, it's in San Simeon. That's sort of the part that she's like, "Welcome to San Simeon."
Yeah, that was very good.
I've been there. I went there. I was there as a kid.
Is it so? It's very much still like a thing. Like you can go visit.
Yeah,
it's
a historical landmark.
Right, okay.
It's halfway between San Francisco and LA.
Very nice.
Just San Simeon's a tiny little town on the coast.
Sort of like NorCal or like Central Cal.
Well, it's central because it's halfway between. But it's a cool place. I mean, that dude Hearst had like 4 fucking pools at that house, like 2 like indoor pools. I mean, it's crazy.
He was very, very rich.
Yeah, and he was one of the first newspaper moguls to engage in what's called as yellow paging, which is like
interesting.
I'm pretty sure that's a term for it, which is it's just over sensationalized, like kind of meritless news with not really a lot of substance. That's not meant
the original fake news.
Basically, like he like I think a lot of what's wrong with our media landscape today can be attributed to him. So that's
which fun. Is why I think I personally enjoyed the movie so much, is because it was so blatantly like going. I thought it was going to be like, this is how they made Citizen Kane, which like I'm not interested in those kinds of movies.
Right.
Like I don't really like film that like it's just Hollywood sucking its own dick. That's
it's just
like not interesting
Hollywood
to me at
being
all.
Infatuated with itself, which
is so boring. That's why I fucking hated La La Land.
Yeah.
But
loved it.
But what I liked about this movie is that it's very blatantly drawing like political parallels between like our current situation and like 1930s, 1940s Hollywood.
Yeah. Super interesting movie all the way through, but when we got to the
like very well.
Political propaganda part in the implications of that, which obviously we know as they're debating unleashing this Pandora's box on us that we've lived with our entire lives, like it that quickly became the most interesting point of the movie.
Yeah. Best line was Amanda Seyfried going, "That Hitler is creepers." I was like, "You fucking tell him, Marion." And then Bill Nye is Upton Sinclair. It's just magical.
He was, and they like a lot of people think
Brandon's fucking brain just exploded.
A lot of people think Sinclair could have won that 1934 gubernatorial race if it
had they not had the fucking
MGM
the film. Exactly.
Which is crazy.
Which is why it's such an interesting like narrative path to have Mank just sort of offhandedly be like, "You don't need my help. You could fucking make King Kong. You can make people believe in this bullshit." And then they do it. And then it happens. And then and then he goes on to then write a story about how fucking William Randolph Hearst was the devil essentially. So I felt it was just like a very like slyly, excellently crafted narrative. In my opinion. But it was just the presentation was I hated the fucking editing of it. I hated it was like,
oh, you didn't like the time jumps? And
in my opinion, I feel like it wasn't handled as like fluidly, especially like in the beginning and then towards the end. Like it was like, in my opinion, like the ending, it was just like back and forth, too much.
For me, at the end, it came together. At the beginning, I was like, this seems unnecessary. But when it started tying together in the scenes at the end, right, we were kind of jumping from one conversation to the other that were either juxtaposed or very similar.
I just feel like it wasn't necessary. I feel like I would have felt more powerful if you had let those scenes kind of exist on their own. And in the beginning, I do agree though, Brandon, like you open on him like hobbling up to like lie in bed with a broken leg, and then the very next scene is the car crash anyway. Just start with the car. I don't know. Like what are you doing? I don't get it. And then he had like a wife or whatever, and then she was like, "I don't know why I love you."
Why she? I didn't understand why she was called Poor Sarah. Did anybody pick up on that?
It was like, oh, she's got to put up with him. Poor Sarah.
So
like
poor
she's got
Sarah.
to
because he's like
put up with this alcoholic fucking prick. It's just like the scathing social critic of Hammond J. Mankiewicz.
So like, so basically, like everyone in his social circle understood their dynamic. She's like, "Oh, poor Sarah, she has to put up with him." Because
and they were like,
because in the 30s, like, I don't want to be called poor Sarah anymore.
In the 30s, it was like cool and hip to treat your wife. So everybody was like, "Oh, this is great."
He was nice to her, and when push came
he was
to
a
shove.
raging alcoholic who gambled away their life savings on a whim, but he was funny.
He was funny
just a
and
much
witty.
better version of Purple Rain. Is that what we're getting to?
Oh man.
God.
So Max, I know you've mentioned that you have like listened to us before, but a running joke, our probably most recurring comedic bit is how much we all love Purple Rain.
I know. I've heard
1984 masterpiece.
The worst movie I've ever seen in my whole entire life.
It's not even the worst rated movie you've given a rating on our podcast.
Well, that
so
was an accident.
All right.
Well, I gotta say,
but no.
Go ahead, Caleb.
Sorry, you go. No, please. This is gonna be good. I can tell.
I think you guys alluded to your Purple Rain grievances during the airing of your grievances in the Crash episode, which I enjoyed all of it. It was great.
The hand-to-hand combat. No, that was for another one. I forget. But I want to. Okay, so before we get too off the rails, I do want to like when I watched Mank. It was interesting because I did watch Citizen Kane that afternoon, just to kind of finally cross it off the list. Like it was under the category on the Turner Classic Movies section in HBO Max. So if and they have all the like great classics there. Like it's a category called Filming 101, and I was like, okay, cool, Citizen Kane. And I could totally see where, you know, if you're a young filmmaker going to film school and needing to learn kind of like putting together and like lighting and shadow and things like that, right? You know, watch Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
And storytelling. But minus like the content of Mank, like finishing the script or doing the rewrites or whatever in the 60-day format or whatever that the movie went, the span that the present day in the movie went past, you know, I felt, you know, you saw a lot of that influence of some of the lighting and some of the subject matter and things like that. Other than that, I'm just like, I can see where like the influences are coming from with David Fincher and how he like created the movie and put it together. But at the same time, you know, it was kind of with the back and forth of the flashbacks. I mean, they sprinkled in a little bit of the political, social, whatever environment at the time, you know, versus dealing with a little bit of the Orson Welles and his character, because they said at the very beginning, it said RKO gave Orson Welles like complete control.
Yeah.
So then why is this guy writing the movie was a question that I had the whole time.
Because they had worked together on theater productions at the Mercury Theater Company, and he was like, "Oh, I'll get this guy to write the script." Because
gotcha. Okay,
which I feel like they made that pretty clear.
Yeah,
I must have like in the 2+ hours of watching.
No, for sure. I think it's easy to if you don't. I think if you don't already know like the mythology of Orson Welles, it might not be clear.
Yeah,
because I'm obsessed with that guy.
I don't think it would be like I made a point to kind of look up a lot of that stuff before I watched the movie, and that's why I wanted to watch Citizen Kane before I watched Mank, because I really wanted to have a context.
Well, it wasn't super clear, and I was my question is like, how aware were you guys of all this beforehand? Because I was very unaware of any of it.
I wasn't necessarily aware of like the details, but like I don't know if I would say I'm a fan of Orson Welles. I just find him like a fascinating character.
He is fascinating.
He's just like very talented actor. Very like, I think the picture of like ego, like the dictionary definition of ego should just be his face.
Right.
Like she just thought he was like God's gift to the arts, and maybe, you know, who knows, maybe he was, but.
Well, did I tell you that Ryan and I listened to the War of the Worlds on radio?
Which is fucking cool, right?
Which is really cool to listen to.
Which supposedly like actually scared people that aliens
freaked
were
people out.
Freaked the fuck out. Yeah. I learned in college, I learned about part of the reason was because I forget what it was, but there was it was either a very famous concert or a very famous broadcast of other kind went long that same night that bled into War of the Worlds' time slot. And the beginning of War in the Worlds, the radio show, it's like, this is fucking played. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
But a lot of people didn't hear that part. So they were like finishing. This is true. You can Google this.
Yeah.
They're finishing whatever it was. Yeah. And then they changed the fucking channel. It's like, the Martians are invading. I would fucking
Aliens
I don't have TV. I don't know what fucking TV is. Science fiction hasn't been invented yet. So I don't fucking know. Maybe I trust who's on the fucking radio. They sound believable. I get it. I'm not going to clown on those guys too hard.
No, it's a very good radio.
It sounds fucking convincing too. Like I would believe it if I'm like cruising to 95.5 the river, and then I just like tune over, and then I hear this shit. I believe it. But anyway, so to answer your question, Brandon, I'm sorry. I knew about enough of it that I wasn't like taken out of it or anything. But I definitely didn't know that much about the guy, like Mank, the character of Mank. So it was cool to learn that he was just like every other person in the 30s, just an alcoholic smartass.
Well, how hilarious was the idea of like all the writers at MGM like writing together and then like throwing that kid under the bus and making him pitch the end of the movie?
Yeah, that was and great. That was
the
really
one
funny.
guy's just like, B movie, come on guys, this is serious. And it's just like,
well, it's very like that kind of stuff. It started to bleed into what I was talking about earlier, where it's just like, oh, writers are so fucking smart and they're geniuses, and all the fucking studio people are fucking stupid. And like, I was like, all right, settle down. And I'm glad that wasn't like the movie, because they clearly did think very highly of themselves, and so you have to like faithfully create that and put that in there. It was a little eye rolly, because I can see how they probably thought like, it was like, yeah, this is fucking cool. It just was kind of lame. The more interesting stuff to me was all of the like interactions with William Randolph Hearst, and him
totally
realizing that like, oh, you know, art is politics and politics is an art, and like that subplot where like his friend, I think Shelley, just immediately overcome with so much guilt about like the actual real implications. Like, oh, I changed this political election.
Yeah.
I ruined a bunch of lives. And then he just fucking kills himself. And I was like, God, that's so fucking awful.
Yeah, I agree. That stuff was some of the most riveting components of the movie for me as well. And I don't know if you guys looked into this after you saw it, but I also got really interested in the whole controversy between Mank and Wells and like, you know, who contributed more to the script. Like, did you guys feel like Fincher was definitively claiming that like, oh, Mank did everything? Or if you feel like it was more ambiguous?
So the backstory of Mank is that Fincher doesn't write any of his own scripts, which I think is fucking amazing.
Jack Fincher wrote it, right? His dad, apparently.
His late dad did, yeah. And so who was a writer by trade. Yeah. So I think he was kind of coming from that position. Mm-hmm. I feel like, it doesn't really, I don't think the film really focuses on that. I think they make a point to not focus on that. Like, Wells like storms out and then it cuts to the Academy Awards. But like the movie's already been made and received. And then so I feel like in my interpretation of it, and if you guys disagree, please let me know. It was less like Mank did everything and it's more like, let's like give him the credit he does deserve. Yeah. Because the idea is that it's Orson Welles, Citizen Kane, right? So I think the purpose of the movie was more to be like, well, Mank, instead of just like, fuck Orson Welles, it was like, well, also Mank. Yeah. That was what I felt.
I also got that. I think there's a really telling line, too, which is one of my favorite lines of the movie, where I think he's talking to the girl that's helping him rehabilitate and write, and he says
secretary.
Rita Harris.
Rita Alexander.
Yeah, Rita Alexander.
Which also weird subplot. Her husband's like lost at sea or whatever, and then at the end she's like, hey, he's alive! Yeah. What the fuck?
Something definitely got cut there for sure.
Yeah, there was a couple probably other scenes of her moping.
But he has this line where he's like, no, it's Orson's now, and however he decides to, he's like, I've given him an outline, a solid story, and a place to go, and whatever he does with it now is his job. And there was, adds to the collaborative process of it all,
Right. And I think what's interesting to note is because up until then, like, well, you were saying like that scene with like a bunch of people like bouncing off each other, like a bunch of writers in a room creating something. But this was like, no, like this is like an artistic statement. Like one guy sat down to like tell this narrative story. Yeah. And I think, that is like a line in the sand. That is like, oh, now it's like, because nowadays it's like a very common thing. Like auteur filmmakers or like screenwriters that like, no, this is what I want to do. But no, and then I think, part of the journey of the film is all of these characters being like, dude, this is like fucking brilliant. And I think you should like fight for like acknowledgement on it. Yeah. Because like you did this. Yeah. So maybe they are trying to say like, oh, like, Herman Manke is. Josh, what do you think? Sorry.
No, I'm like, my rule is I take everything in and I surmise and I regurgitate my profound statement of intent. No, I don't. Yeah, I agree with Caleb with and also this is my work, right? Because it is credited as co-writers for Citizen Kane, so his name is on there. People just conflate and be like, since Orson Welles directed, acted in, things like that, that's his film. I'm interested in terms of the content, because obviously the use of the flashbacks, the episodic kind of back and forth of the flashbacks. I thought, obviously he went off and then started writing Citizen Kane, because I'm assuming that dinner scene at the end is him getting that like, oh, this would be an interesting story.
Yeah, he's like, I'm telling you what I'm gonna do, you little fuck.
He's like, I'm gonna air out all of your laundry.
And then like, whatever you say, you washed up fucking loser.
Exactly. And I did think it was an interesting vehicle of using like the broken leg as the kind of tell that it was present day versus the flashbacks. Like,
well, they told you on screen every time they cut.
Well, that's what I was just gonna say. I said you have this thing where like he's literally writing in a cast, laying down, and then all the other scenes he's walking around. So like you could surmise as an audience member that, oh yeah, this must be in the past.
But people,
But
they just think, they think you're fucking stupid.
So they have to go exterior.
So many moments like that in movies where it's like, oh, they just think that we're dumb. Like, they have no respect for our intelligence.
Because what? Because one person...
I don't even know that
Brandon.
it's the people thinking it's dumb, so I don't mean to interrupt. I just think it's more of like they understand that half the people that are watching it are like walking around their house doing something. And
I may not be paying attention to it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're aware.
But I still feel like in the editing room, or like when you're making a movie and you have screenings of it.
They didn't write it for Netflix,
right?
I don't know. I don't think I would be curious to meet people who write their films with, like, oh well, people aren't going to be watching this very carefully. I don't know. Whatever. Sorry, Josh. You go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say like to Brandon's point, like, but there's like. There's obviously there was one person there going, I think we need to add this in because it doesn't make sense. It's like, okay, buddy, but like if you sat down and actually thought about it, there's no way that he could be in a cast one day and then the next day walking around,
Yeah. I agree with you.
One of those things, but in terms of like the with the style, with the black and white, do you think that they filmed in black and white, or do you think it was the digitally film in color and then take the color out, like we talked about last week?
Fincher only films digitally. So
okay, so
but I think you can film black and white digital. I think there's a way to do that.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure that. I mean, I don't know. What I do know is that he's like, and we'll get into this with Zodiac especially. But Fincher is such a fucking obsessive compulsive maniac. Like,
I've heard that,
it like in terms of like attention to detail and like faithfully recreating like a time period. Like they constructed like all that stuff, and they really tried to like make sure it was like picture like. Perfect, like period accurate. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, who have like done all of his scores since Social Network,
who are also great, by the way. Those are also two of my favorites.
They're fucking brilliant. Yeah. They only used like authentic, like period accurate instruments to compose.
Cool.
So I feel like everything was. Sorry, I don't remember what your question was, but I feel like
the black and white digital.
The black and white. So everything else is authentic. I don't know. Maybe they.
I just don't think. I don't even know that on digital it matters at all anymore. You know what I mean?
It may not, because Max, we had a conversation.
You can do so much color posts, I guess,
about
to fix the contrast and shading and stuff. So
we did Elephant Man last week, and we talked because David Lynch specifically chose to film on black and white, which is a different, because he was filming on film, and so I was curious watching this in black and white if it was. But if it's digital, then obviously there's filters and all sorts of.
Fincher does like 50 to 100 takes a scene, so like he has to shoot digitally because it would be too expensive.
Man,
those poor giraffes and monkeys.
They shot that the big dinner scene, the climax where he's like, oh, you know what would be a good story? They shot that for like 100 days.
Holy fuck!
That was like. It was like half of the fucking shoot was like getting that right. That's what I mean. He's like so like detailed. Yeah. Like he's like.
So Gary Oldman is actually throwing up because he just had
he's
enough.
Just so he's tired.
Like,
he said to drink so many of those goddamn whatevers. I could be getting that wrong, but I don't think I am, because I remember reading that and I was like, holy moly! I like, obviously like they probably filmed other stuff too, but like over 100-day period.
Right.
It took to like do that.
I know we got to get to Zodiac, but I'll try and make this quick. Just want to say a couple more things about Mank.
No, please. We got time.
Nice. Caleb, I agreed with what you originally said as far as if the film was taking a side of it, like Mank or Wells, who did more. But then they also, and one of the last shots was of Mank, making what his would-be acceptance speech. And he's like, oh, well, I would want everyone to know that the truth of the creation of this script was, me without Orson Welles, like I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, totally.
That was one of the last shots. I was like, that's.
But even with that, like the Orson Welles, the shot right before that, right, makes a joke being like, "You can kiss my half." So like,
yeah,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, like, for me, it's like there's what the characters feel, and there's what like the filmmaker feels.
Yeah.
But this is my interpretation. Maybe I don't know. Fucking, I don't.
I don't know either. I was just.
It's interesting. It's interesting to think about because, like, ultimately, I feel like it's like so much of the movie that's not even the point. But then that is how they choose to end the film. Right. You're right. It's
but even that, I wanted to bring that last scene up, that last shot too, because do you guys think that? Because I took it one way, and then thinking about it, I took it a different way, right? It almost seems playful between the two of them. Like, I don't know if...
I mean, they never work together again, so I don't know. But yeah, maybe they just have a good sense of humor. Who fucking knows? I mean, Mank, I know like every fucking movie they have to have like, oh, and here's what happened the next 50 years.
Yeah.
Like in titles at the end. And then they say he like didn't really work in any meaningful capacity again, and then he fucking died. And I don't know.
He wrote some... He was writing a script for some big studio immediately after he finished Citizen Kane. I don't remember what it was, but that was one of the last things he did.
That's the last thing he ever did. What a way to go out.
Something just on acting note here. What I loved about Tom, I think his name is Tom Burke, the guy I was playing Orson Welles.
Tom Burke, I think.
Tom Burke, yeah.
Yeah.
The scene where Mank tells him, "Oh, I actually want credit," and he flips out. And he throws his box of concoctions.
Yeah. What are they, support system or something?
And then Mace like, a violent purge of violence is what Kane needs when Susan leaves him. Like, and then Wells is like, maybe, and walks out. His little
they have that. He has that moment of like, fuck, you're a genius.
Yeah,
and then he like walks out.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I'm still fucking pissed at you.
And then he has like, his physicality is so fucking good there because he kind of has that weird like wobble as he like kicks something. He like kicks a piece of furniture as he's walking out the door. And I was like, dude, the way he moves right there looks exactly like how Orson Welles looks when he in Citizen Kane, when he's flipping out and like fucking tearing the room apart when Susan Alexander leaves him.
Yeah, very stiff.
Yeah, it was like, but it was so like nuanced the way he did it, just like that little like awkward looking kick. Right.
And I think that has to be David Fincher, like working with Tom Burke and like.
Yeah, maybe Tom Burke was just also very good.
You could have come prepared for sure.
I'm sure it's both, right? I'm sure it's like all of the actors and Max. I mean, like I know I agree with you. I wish that like sort of Americans would also get work.
Yeah,
but that's why you fucking cast these British actors because they're all trained so well.
Yeah,
and like they all come super prepared and they're really good character actors instead of just movie stars. So you have that, and then David Fincher being like, all right, we'll do 100 of these. One of them is going to be good. And that's just why he gets he's really good at the job of casting. I think he assembles really amazing casts in all of his movies, and he's able to get the best out of them because he fucking, he talks about it. He's like, I work through the bad first instincts, the bad takes, they get it in their bones. Yeah. And then they get so fucking exhausted. They're just natural. And then he's getting natural performances because it's like takes 70 to 100. It's like, I just want to be done with this.
Gary Oldman's favorite scene is when he's sleeping.
Yeah. He's just like, I don't have to fucking do anything.
I want to rate real quick before do we want to rate or do we want to go into Zodiac?
Max, you don't have to if you don't want to.
Oh, rate. Oh, I'll rate.
Fucking rate. Was there anything else we wanted to say?
Can I just say one more thing? I'm sorry. I know this is supposed to be a shorter conversation, but
it's okay.
So in the 1970s, this film critic named Pauline Kael released an essay called Raising Cain, which was the premise of this big book she wrote about Citizen Kane. And she staunchly takes the position that like, oh, Mank did everything and Wells was like a hack and he was an egomaniac, which is, most people think that's true that he's an egomaniac, but like she's basically like shitting all over him and saying like he deserved none of the credit for writing it, blah, blah, blah. And she was actually discredited later because it turns out writing that essay, she was working with this professor from UCLA named Thomas Stuber, I think was his name, who a lot of the content she used in her essay, like the interviews she referenced with Manx and Orson Welles, like secretaries and stuff like that, those were based on interviews that this Thomas Stuber guy did. And he had this whole essay of his own that was supposed to be included in her book, and she didn't include his writing at all in her book and in her essay.
It's a no-no.
And then referenced a bunch of the material she got from him and gave him no credit for any of it. So she did the very thing that she was accusing Orson Welles of doing.
What a dumbass.
So like the thing I guess most people believe as far as like who did more with Citizen Kane script is that Mank, in 1940, like in the movie, he did entirely write the first draft himself and the second draft. But then Orson Welles contributed more later while Mank, because Mank finished the script and then he went on to write that other movie that I mentioned before, which I don't even remember what it was. So while he was doing that, Orson Welles was making revisions, like a lot of the stuff that's celebrated about Citizen Kane, like the dinner scene, where it's flashing through times, but you're just watching the same scene. Mank intended all those scenes to be full scenes with drawn out dialogue, and then Orson Welles like tweaked it to basically you get the same sense of exposition, but it's stylized in this compelling way, and it's faster, and like so. Apparently, a lot of that stuff in the final product, that's more of Wells' contribution. A lot of the stuff that's really celebrated about the movie is adjustments that Wells made.
Yeah.
So
I mean, film is a director's medium. I mean, that happens all the time. Directors get a script and it's like, all right, I'm gonna interpret this or like cut what I don't need, and but without that foundation, the movie wouldn't exist. So I don't know. Sure. I think it's super interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
That's funny about Kale though. I didn't realize she had been totally discredited. That's so
wild.
Funny.
Yeah.
You guys want to rate?
Mank.
Let's do it.
Who wants to go first?
I'm gonna give it a 4.
I do as well. I think it can easily go up when I watch it again, but a 4 for now.
I concur.
Yeah, I'm gonna join the bandwagon here. I'd say 4 too. That was my
Force.
Fours for the 4 MFAers.
Very cool.
Yeah, one of the interesting things between Mank and the other movie we were watching this week, Zodiac, is Mank has all these time jumps, right? Where thankfully Zodiac is a very linear timeline because it would have been confusing as shit if they kept jumping from one crime scene thing to another. But that is our other movie of the day, Zodiac. Thoughts around the table, guys? I mean, I enjoyed it a lot. I think there's a lot to talk about. I have so many more questions about that. The Zodiac and the killer and everything.
Who wants to make the joke about it being their favorite Marvel movie? Does anyone want to make that joke?
I mean,
because the ubiquity of the MCU means that even movies from last decade, it's just like, oh, all they fucking see are superheroes anymore.
It was right before Iron Man. It was 2007.
It was. Yeah. I think Robert Downey Jr. was still on drugs when they were shooting this movie.
Still though, man, he's so good.
He's great.
It's my favorite performance from him, and we'll like easily the best. I think it's the best thing he's done. But we're jumping around.
Yeah. In terms of like initial thoughts and feelings I did. We made that joke before the episode. Was that I've had it on my Netflix list forever because it's always something I've wanted to check out, and literally the day that I go to watch it, it's off of Netflix, and I had to go to Amazon Prime. But it's interesting because I thought it was good. I always like these like kind of crime, serial killer, kind of thriller, drama things, right? Historic, because there's a lot of history involved with it. It's a very interesting case in itself. And you start off with the whole like, the following is based off of actual case files, which I'm like, good, I'm hooked. I'm there.
Yeah.
But for me, the pacing of it to span for like 2 hours and 37 minutes, and the fact that it covered they tried to get all of it in there.
Yeah.
Like in terms of the time period from like 68 to 79 or whatever that decade they tried to span, I thought it was a little ambitious. But in terms of the story and following like Jake Gyllenhaal's character, I liked it. It was a good movie for me.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of middle ground with it all, and we'll definitely get into it.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it got more and more entertaining as it went on for me personally.
I didn't feel. It's definitely like you definitely feel its length, but I feel like part of that is intentional because these characters. It's been over a decade, and they like have they're no closer to getting this fucking person who's like terrorized Northern California. I mean, all of California. Like, I feel like I appreciated like feeling fucking drained and feeling like exhausted. It's just I thought it was really amazing. Like, I thought it was a really, really good movie, and I had seen it in high school and I thought it was like fucking boring because I didn't know anything in high school. I was like, this is lame. Because I had just like, I'd been getting like all those Netflix DVDs and I was like, 7, Fight Club. What else has this guy made? And then it's just this really meticulous and grounded like story about people who just like can't, they're getting outsmarted by a serial killer. And I was like, this is fucking stupid and boring. But revisiting it now, I love how clinical it is. I love how like tedious and like obsessive and it Brandon, like as it goes on, it just becomes so tense and like I'm just so exhausted and like
interestingly
then at the very end
too.
it's like horrifying. Like
Whoa.
the scenes like, and we'll get to that of course, but like there are genuine like scary moments for me. Like
the basement
in this movie, the basement,
well,
but even just like the killing at the lake.
Oh,
like,
oh
with the
yeah,
two
that's
people.
awful. I hate watching that part. It gets me. Yeah.
But the ends, not the end, but as we're getting into like the third act, and like you said, there's these scenes that are so tense, but those, while all your main actors are killing it, I think they're all doing an amazing job. The two guys who are your like assumed, top suspects were so good. Like the actors.
In my opinion, the best acted scene in the entire movie, and I know we're jumping all around, I'm sorry, but this is a perfect segue for it, is the interview of Arthur Lee Allen.
Oh,
that's what I'm talking
so
about.
good.
It's
So good.
like
100%.
Yeah.
So it's just like John Carroll Lynch, who plays Arthur Lee Allen's like a very character actor. He's in fucking
He's
everything.
in so many comedies, man. Like I see him and I think comedy.
He's Marge's husband in Fargo, which is like one of the big things that a lot of people know him from. But yeah, he's playing this guy who he seems totally calm and collected, but as like he like offers a little bit more information than maybe he has to, and then he starts to slip and he hides his watch and he shows his boots and he realizes he's showing his boot, and all the detectives are all it's like Elias Koteas, Mark Ruffalo. I'm so sorry, I don't know the other guy's name, he's not as famous, but he's still great. He's still really good. It's just such a masterclass of like subtle act. It's like the kind of acting that like film was invented for, in my opinion. Like it's just so many micro expressions, and it's just like
when they're
I was like totally enraptured by that scene in particular. I think it's a masterpiece of a scene.
Yeah, and then I for me, like the other one was the scene in the house in the basement.
Yeah, well, that's more. I feel like more like external. Like that's like very like there's like lighting and like music cues.
For sure,
and, like,
but him underplaying it the way he did. I mean, the other actor, obviously, Gyllenhaal's great, but
I do all the posters myself, and Jake's like, "Oh my fucking god,
I won't take any more of your time."
I'm sorry, I gotta go.
But his coy smile when Gyllenhaal leaves, then begs so many more questions.
And it's like, who the fuck was that? Who else was in the house? Because they were working together.
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards is the actor you were trying to think
Anthony
of.
Edwards, thank you. He was great. I'm sorry. I know you listen every week, Anthony. I know you tune in every week. I know you're a big fan, so I'm sorry.
He's gonna be pissed, man. He's gonna write a scathing review. Yeah,
Max, we
One
have
star iTunes review.
you said this is one of your favorites. You said David Fincher
one of my favorite
movies.
Finchers. Yeah,
For sure. Now,
what about it in terms of like? And that's not. I'm not trying to be like facetious or anything. I'm just saying in terms of because I haven't digested it yet. It's been less than 24 hours, but like Caleb was saying, with like the clinicalness of it, and like yes, the performances were great, and I do feel that the last 40 minutes I was totally on board and I loved it.
Yeah,
but I'm also now thinking after Caleb had talked about it that you kind of get lulled into this like completely drawn out process. Then when you like get those steps a little bit in the next direction and you get excited and I'm actually feeling what Jake Gyllenhaal is feeling as soon as he talks to that housemate, or the house worker. And he's like, wait, what? And then he gets excited. And then I'm like, okay, great. Now I'm on board. Let's fucking figure this out.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. One of your favorites.
Yeah. Well, I'd say partially one of the reasons is because I'm just a sucker for the subject matter, because I can sometimes go down true crime rabbit holes. So I was very infatuated with the Zodiac killer case even back in middle school. That's the grade I was in when the movie
you grew
came
up in
out.
it's a little too young, I think.
eighth grade, and then this movie came out when we were in eighth grade, like going into freshman year of high school, and I saw it in theaters. So a lot of it went over my head back then, and I didn't like what you were alluding to, Caleb. I like a lot of it I didn't appreciate.
Yeah.
But
And you grew up in the Bay Area, so you...
Oh, yeah.
Like,
so there's that because it's kind of close to home. I mean, not, obviously it wasn't around in the late 60s and throughout the 1970s, but it's something that's like, definitely in the psyche of the people around here, as well as the Golden State Killer case, which is a whole other thing. But
or is it?
I think it is. But so there's that. Like I became infatuated with that story, and then that infatuation became a fascination, and I would like read about it. And I read Robert Graysmith's book, which was part of the basis for this movie. And then just combined with what you guys have mentioned, that it's just so beautifully acted, and it's also, I don't know if Fincher works with the same cinematographer or anything throughout all his movies, but just the way his movies are shot, they're just beautiful.
Yeah.
And I really love that about this movie.
Specific.
And I also think the pacing is great. Like it's such this saga of the Zodiac and the investigation. It's such a gargantuan, like it just covers so many years, and there isn't really the closure with it that you would like there's still no,
like a Hollywood movie. Yeah.
I mean, there's still open cases.
But this movie was so fucking, like, it did so well that they reopened the cold case after it came out.
And Fincher did the best he could as far as like, like what you mentioned before, being the completionist that he is, like he tackled this subject, I think, in a really, really successful way. And I think that warrants the length. And
absolutely. I totally agree with you. I think it's completely justified. Yeah. The script is even longer. Like if you read this, it should come out to closer to 3.5 hours, but
oh wow.
Oh man, that would be too much.
In production, this is like one of my favorite pieces of trivia about this movie. But so production, David Fincher was like, well, I don't really feel like cutting anything. So all of actors, you guys just like speak faster. And all the actors like, excuse me. And so they're all just like, that's why they kind of speak. I mean, I think it works. Like, I think it totally fits the vibe.
Newsroom talk. Like, I mean, Max, me and Max did a show called Our House last year where we were in, kind of business and newsroom areas and stuff.
So fun.
But almost 2 years ago now.
I know, it's sad.
But we had those conversations, of like, there's moments where we have to talk very fast, it's just a part of the, everything you're trying to put out there.
Millennials would work so well with David Fincher because we just speak fast in general.
Millennials? I don't know what the cutoffs are. Speaking of ASDS, our very own Edward Satrakian's in this movie.
Oh my god!
Wait,
yes,
what?
can we talk?
Yes. In the beginning,
Brandon, he looks exactly the same. Come on, he's like, what?
Yeah.
How did you miss him?
He's one of the Chronicle employees.
Yeah,
no way.
Yeah, he's one of the people at the newspaper. Yeah. He's
man.
He yells at Robert Downey Jr. at one point, and it's the best. He's like, cut out the fucking drugs, or I don't know what he says, but
shit.
ASDS's own. So that was really cool.
Yeah, Caleb and I had a class with him.
Josh and I was a teacher for her, and you guys both experienced.
It is fun to kind of see that and be like, okay, cool, Ed. I see you, bro. I see you. Yeah. Especially like with like, working with Robert Downey Jr. And this is, you have to say, we mentioned it. He was he had filmed this probably before he started Iron Man, because Iron Man came out
2008.
a year after 2008.
Yeah.
Why on Amazon Prime the year was 2007 for Zodiac? That's so interesting. Like, it's interesting
because it came out in 2007.
I thought it was 2005.
No.
Okay.
Maybe it was. It was theatrically released in 2007.
Okay, great. Okay, so he's either doing that, but like seeing Robert Downey Jr. in his like little quips, to Jake Gyllenhaal and their interaction at the Chronicle, and it was fun. It was funny.
The scene at the Aqua Velva.
I was just going to bring that up.
Sorry.
This can no longer be ignored.
What is this? And Jake was like, "Don't knock it just because it's blue.
Don't knock it until you try it, baby." And then
just hard cut to like 10 of them.
10 of them on the. But it's a thing with Robert Downey Jr. where like he's one of those guys, and I'm sure that if you wanted to, you could bring up a couple of exceptions that prove the rule. But he plays himself. He's like Sam Jackson. He plays himself in every
fucking
movie.
Not Gatsby. Fucking Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah, because Charlie Chaplin and Great Gatsby are like the same thing.
Say shut up.
Fucking
Chaplin.
You fucking dweeb.
All right, that's fair. Chaplin.
The large majority of his roles are just the same kind of character. Yeah. But I feel like it fits so well here because he is like just his acting style and his personality. Like I believe that he's like kind of arrogant, and then I believe he's very paranoid, and then I believe he's very broken.
Yeah,
like it just feels like it's so much of like his actual life.
Yeah,
which is again what happened with Tony Stark, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, it's inevitable. We have to talk about Iron Man.
but again, it's just. I mean, it. But is that just good choices as an actor?
Yeah, but he's like playing like a real person here, right. And I feel like there's like a lot more emotional potency. Like even like at the scene when Gyllenhaal like comes to him, he's like, "You should write the book at the boathouse," and he's like, "Fuck!" Like
it's been 4 years, let it go.
It's been 4 years, let it go. I almost fucking lost my life to this shit. I'm like, drop it. You know, that scene's like kind of heartbreaking, in a way. And then he just fucks off for the rest of the movie until that one scene towards the end where he's like watching him on
when
TV.
He's on oxygen.
Fucking library.
The fucking library.
Yeah, I think there's an interesting difference to be had with like casting Downey Jr. for a role like this in Zodiac, and then using kind of what his like quirkiness is for a comic book character like like Tony Stark, and using that. Like he can definitely play into kind of himself, but this was because you had to base it off like an actual reporter, an actual person. It just lended itself to the casting director going after Robert Downey Jr. and him accepting this role and doing it kind of meshed better together as an acting kind of choice rather than.
And it's so interesting because I agree with you, and it's so funny because originally Pincher like has worked with Brad Pitt a bunch, and he wanted to have Brad Pitt, and I can't see him do it.
No, not this one,
and not in that role. Not maybe fucking Ruffalo's part.
I'm sure he would have done something cool because to give Brad Pitt credit, especially at that time. I mean, he was doing a lot of character work.
He had to go do Mr. and Mrs. Smith instead.
I mean, when you go back to like 12 Monkeys, Snatch, things like that.
Yeah, well, you can be a good actor and not be right for every part. I'm just saying, I can't see him after watching.
100%. It would have been it feels like something he would have gone into and taken a real shot at. Whatever it was, would have been interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he would have swung for the fences.
Right. I don't think it would have been as good. I think Robert Downey Jr., like you said, is very perfect for this part. You believe that arrogance in the face of this murderer and that immediate retreat from it so much.
Yeah, so quickly.
Yeah.
That scene where he gets the bloody piece of shirt. And he just
it's not a fucking bloody shirt. It's not a fucking bloody shirt.
Yeah, he's very funny. He's very funny, but he's also very sad about a man. Yeah. I think it works out really well.
Which is what apparently Paul Avery, the person he's playing, apparently that guy was exactly that. That was how people thought of him.
Which is like, nailed it.
Yeah, I guess in real life, Tosky and Avery fucking hated each other. Like in the movie, they're like, in the beginning, they're like kind of they're friendly. But in real life, they were not at all.
Oh, not ever?
So I think that's silly. No. They were like never.
Oh, never friends. Okay.
On good terms.
Yeah, because the movie makes it seem like it was the Riverside killing
they were buddies until
split. Yeah.
Which is another fucking great scene outside of that police station where he's like, "It's been a year. When are you gonna fucking catch this guy?" Like, so many good scenes. And this is to answer the question you asked Max, Josh. That's why I fucking love it, because it compounds on itself and it's just like everything leads into everything. There's not a wasted moment, like really at all, in my opinion. I agree. Everything is purposeful. And just like Fincher's fucking attention to detail, like the way that he recreated San Francisco, like, and it's all CGI and you can't tell. I think just the fact that it's all special effects and it looks so seamless, in my opinion.
But also back to what you were saying before. I mean, you're following the clues with Jake Gyllenhaal's character, right? Like when, or Mark Ruffalo's character, when he covers up his watch and you're like, wait, is he wearing a Zodiac watch? Like, what the fuck? And then like you expect them to like take the watch or something to come with that, and it doesn't. Or again with the basement scene, when Jake Gyllenhaal's like, not many people in California have basements. It's like all of that has been so meticulously like laid out.
The groundwork's all there.
You're definitely following. Yeah, you're definitely following every little like breadcrumb. Yeah. But even back to like the CGI, like I mean, I think depending on to be a complete asshole, depending on the resolution count on your TV, you may be able to see some of the green screening. But knowing those little tidbits of the fact that the cab scene in that corner was just maybe a couple of house fronts and the cars and the people, everything else was green screen was like, what the fuck? That's all great. And even the blood is all CGI, because the thing in that same video, he says, Fincher likes to use CGI blood so he can actually control
all of the takes that he does. There's no way that you could use practical,
right?
And also he gets more control. So yeah. I mean, are you saying that you were taken out of it?
No, of course not. I'm just trying to play the other side.
I never would have guessed there was CGI blood. I never would have guessed.
CGI blood, CGI fucking buildings, CGI car. Like he literally like that's how you use the tool. You don't use it to build fucking whole fucking characters and spaceships. And
well, even Mank had all the animals in the zoo were CGI so that he could control them and they could run on the certain thing, or the monkeys could jump on the fence at a certain point. It's all
the craftsmanship in his films are just I don't know another contemporary filmmaker who is on his level.
Maybe
not in my opinion, not this decade.
Just an example to support the level of detail. The cabbie scene. Mm-hmm. If you that happened at the corner of Washington and Cherry Street in San Francisco, and if you look up that intersection on Google Maps, or if you were to go there today, the house that is across from where the killing took place, where the kids see it happening, it is the way it's portrayed in the movie is exactly how that whole area and how that house looks in real life. Mm-hmm. You can look at it today. Even today, like the house looks the exact same. They have it down to a T. It's like the way they capture that whole scene is the fidelity is amazing.
Caleb, would you say that that's kind of Fincher's like thing? Because I was talking to Ryan last night about this. Watching Mank and watching Zodiac, and I've seen Seven and Fight Club and things like that, and The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. And like I'm trying to think, like it's David Fincher as a director. We can see these movies, but I couldn't really draw a parallel in terms of what his thing is. Like we could say with like Scorsese and the stills and the things like that. Like, would the attention to detail and just that meticulousness?
That's what he's. I mean, I feel like that's what he's like famous for. I think like really, really, really like to the point that like no one else would bother. You know what I mean?
Sure.
To like go that in depth, but I mean that's why his films are so good, because he takes that time to like create everything. He's a perfectionist, but also like an artist. So it's like he's like very creative in the way that he like constructs these really compelling narratives, and attention to detail I think just makes his worlds like super believable. Even with something like Gone Girl, like you shoot in Missouri and like you like make sure that you're paying attention to like the location and like believable like whatever, you know what I mean, like even stuff where you wouldn't think you would need to. Anyone can recreate San Francisco on a soundstage,
right?
But he like looked at like the dates that like certain like landmarks went up and like the buildings. That
whole montage of like the tower
being built. He looked at all of the autopsy reports to make sure that all of the victims were wearing the right clothes. Like, I mean, he's just like, no, I'm going to tell the story. I'm going to fucking do it right. He's not lazy. You cannot say he's lazy.
Okay, cool.
And that's why I fucking love him, because I think he's able to do all of that and still make his movies fucking entertaining.
Well,
like, they're still a blast.
I mean, it adds to the entertainment, right? I mean, especially something like this where it's all the facts and all the clues and you're trying to follow it, the more accurate it is, But speaking of that and building the world, one of the things that I thought was extremely well done, important, and interesting was how well he built, how hard it was for them to cooperate with each other from the different areas in California.
Or the different newspapers, yeah.
No, the different police stations.
Yeah,
police stations, I'm sorry.
If you like listen, if you are a consumer of anything true crime, that's a point that's echoed a lot. Is
always, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like the inefficiency with different jurisdictions and states, especially in California, which is such a big state.
And like Max, I'm sure you agree when you hear about it in true crime, whatever because I'm the same way.
Yeah,
it's always like, okay, I get it, but I don't really get it. Like, why was this so fucking difficult? And then the first time the guy's like, I don't have a fax, we'll have to mail it. I'm like, oh, I get it.
That's great too. Just like them being kind of catty with each other.
On like the phone tree.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, I get why this is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Like,
it's funny. It's like, and I get how like even with like, Jeffrey Dahmer or whatever, or like how he was able to, like, they would, they'd get able to get away with so many killing and like going to different states, and because it's all different. Back then you didn't have the technology we do now, to track these people. And it's just so funny the fact that there are still cold cases and the only suspect, died of a heart attack right before he was supposed to like.
It was fucking. Yeah. I'm 110%.
He's not the only suspect, but he's probably the one. He's the main one. He's the one that most people think did it, and I also agree that I think he did it too. And I think the movie is on the because that's Robert Graysmith's position is that he did it. The Jake Gyllenhaal's character.
Yeah,
isn't this position that they both did it? They were working together.
No,
him and the other guy, the basement guy.
Yeah,
no, that's not what Robert Graysmith thinks. That Arthur Lee Allen is the Zodiac, and period. But there are people out there that do believe now that there was an accomplice involved.
Wait, does that scene happen when he goes to the basement after his book's already out?
No, that's like before.
No,
that's before he
and he still doesn't think that guy did it.
No, well, I don't even know if that guy's real. The basement guy.
Oh.
Maybe he is. Because
no, it was based on a real.
But that guy, the basement guy, it was the guy that ran that theater, which is where Rick Marshall, which was another suspect, he worked. He was associated with that guy, and Rick Marshall worked at that theater, so he's one of the prime Zodiac suspects. So that scene is when Jake Gyllenhaal is still on Rick Marshall as a suspect. And when he's like obsessing over him, that's before
because of the handwriting. Yeah, that's why
it turns out to be
so
that
scary
guy's.
when that guy's like, "Oh, I do all the
no, that's my handwriting."
Yeah. And then Jake Gyllenhaal's like, "I have to leave immediately." Yeah, I feel like the movie having that scene at the end where Liam McPoyle is like, "Oh, it's John Carroll Lynch." Like, oh, okay, so yeah, this movie definitely thinks
Liam McPoyle for sure. It's like, Jimmy Smith.
But also, if that happened, then that's like the most important part in the whole case.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's so much circumstantial evidence against Arthur Lee Allen. It's crazy. Like the whole thing that Gyllenhaal points out to Mark Ruffalo in the diner, he's like, Arthur Lee Allen lived 50 yards away from Darlene Ferrin.
Yeah.
And Darlene's sister said that she knew and was afraid of a guy named Lee, and the fucking guns and the gloves and
the right boots that you can only get military grade, like the Zodiac watch.
And he confessed his evil plan. He confessed his plan to Don Chaney, his friend. He said, like, I'm going to call myself Zodiac, and I'm like,
it's just fucking insane. Yeah. And I'll go on like a little tangent just for a second. Yeah. It's so insane that like the same shit that convict to a way lesser degree, any one of those things, and if the guy was black, you would be in jail till he was dead. But it's because it's like this white guy. It's like, it's only circumstantial evidence. The handwriting doesn't match. We can't get the fingerprints. It's just so interesting. It's so interesting to me how like. Because it is a lack of cooperation. The movie makes such a point about it. It's like these police stations just did not talk to each other. Yeah. And that's like, it is a true crime thing. And so it just imagine how many fucking people would still be alive if like, I don't know. It's just very interesting.
Well, you say that, but we have email now. It doesn't seem to be that great either. So we're still producing pretty shit.
There are very far fewer
that's true.
active serial killers
also, like,
today.
It's super true. And also like, I feel like it'd be very, 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 very hard to not get caught for a murder these days. Like, I just feel like you're.
Yeah, there's a reason why you don't, see these. Well, there's multiple reasons, but I don't see a lot of people going. And this serial killer is still on the loose, even though there are, like, statistically speaking, how many active serial killers.
No, but you're right. It's all these like all these things that we'll watch is like, and then it was this person, and we caught him, and he's dead now.
Yeah. Or rotting in jail forever.
Right.
Yeah, I like that. The attention to detail is definitely, and especially with a true crime thing like this, it's, kudos for Fincher to like taking that time to research and get that shit right, because it is, when, I want to, pulling back a little bit of like when I first mentioned like his thing to Caleb, asking Caleb here, it's because like now I understand like David Fincher's movies, like we're always like, it's going to be a great movie, but it's like, instead of me, I was trying to pull in like almost like an aesthetic correlation between like movie, like a Mank movie or the Zodiac and things like that. Like maybe there's something that he does in his movies, like David Lynch with the whole overlays. Like directors have their kind of thing, right? But David Lynch, because of the meticulousness and because of the research,
I feel like all of his films are shot very similarly too.
And they're very
long shot, very like specific, precise camera movement.
Yeah. So that's a good to know going in. So I do appreciate that, and Because for me, like I'm definitely the one as a director I'm looking at everything on the screen, and I do pick up a lot of things, and I think that, you know, having someone like David Fincher go through with a fine-tooth comb and make sure that everything lines up and is accurate, and that, you know, there can't be anybody who goes up and goes, well, I lived in the 70s and I was on that corner and there was a tree, or some shit. I don't know. Fuck, people are crazy these days. So
it's just, I don't know. It's insane that people don't do that. It's like not the default.
Right.
Like so many directors are like happy to just be like, it's good enough.
But especially with something like this, where it has to be so factual based to be taken seriously, right?
So it is like a real thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I like.
I get it. Yeah.
So well done. You guys want to rate? What are you thinking?
Does anyone else have anything else to say?
I just thought it was dope.
I want to keep talking. I just want to keep.
Yeah, I
want to keep talking for like 2 more hours. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we can.
We go on forever.
I do want to shout out, the entire cast,
so
Chloe
good.
Sevigny was.
We didn't really talk
great.
about Ruffalo. He was fantastic.
He was probably my least favorite out of the 3, but that's like not really saying any. I mean, he's still great.
Yeah, him and his jaw tension.
And then June was playing his wife.
Yeah,
Shout out.
Diane
She's always
Raphael.
fantastic.
Clea Duvall shows up for a second as the woman in the prison who is like, Jake Gyllenhaal's like, just say Rick Marshall. He's like, no, his name's Lee, and he goes, what? Let's slow turn back. Classic.
Yeah.
Who was Jake Gyllenhaal's girlfriend?
Chloe Sevigny.
Yeah.
Chloe Sevigny.
Gotta shout out Brian Cox.
Yeah.
Melvin Belli. He's good. He's one of those guys that's just great in everything. Like so many people in this movie.
He always just pops in things like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like the same thing for like shows. He'll be in like 2 episodes. You know what I mean? And then pop
He's
out.
in Succession. He's like the lead in Succession right now, and he's really great in Adaptation. He plays Robert McKee, the guy who wrote like Story, like the big screenwriting textbook.
Wasn't he like awesome. He was in X2?
Yeah.
Right?
He's
Stryker.
He's Stryker.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, of course, it all comes back to Marvel.
So the character he plays in Zodiac, Melvin Belli, he was like a famous defense attorney at the time. And
Star Trek, actually.
He was in Star Trek, yeah.
Yeah.
And they say that like when he is on the Jim, I think his name's Jim, the show, the television show he's on, where the guy calls in
Jim Dunbar.
I like that little moment where like they go to a commercial break and Jim Dunbar leaves.
I saw you on Star Trek.
I loved your Star Trek.
You know, I thought about becoming an actor full time.
I thought about becoming an actor full time. And then they give him that line when the police are swarming the church. He's like, "You guys know how to do a fucking whatever."
Put on a secret meeting.
Put on a secret meeting. Yeah, he's just wonderful,
he's so good.
And I love him.
Yeah,
in everything.
The whole cast is great.
Dave Toschi, the detective who Mark Ruffalo played, he, you know how they reference, like he wears his gun like Bullet. That's actually true. That Steve McQueen based it on him.
Took it from him. Yeah.
And Dirty Harry's kind of based on him too.
I know. Well, I love that scene where he goes to the Dirty Harry movie, and it's just like I can't fucking watch this shit.
Yeah, I know, that was really good.
And like all of the moments, you know what? I'll give Ruffalo credit. I mean, he has a lot of those moments where like so many people around him, he's just like, well, you're all making it impossible to do this job.
Yeah,
like you're yelling at me for not catching the guy, but like it's in the fucking newspaper. Everybody's like phoning in fake claims, like they made a fucking movie about it. Like it's like he's just so defeated.
Such a great line when he's like, they're already making movies about it.
They're already making movies about it. Like it's over.
Walks away,
And he gives up. That's the thing. It's not even that he's so close. He gives up. And then Gyllenhaal's like, no, I am a neurotic mess, nightmare of a human being. And you will fucking listen to my evidence.
It's just a sequel for Gyllenhaal from October Sky. It's the same kid.
Yeah. It's just, this is what happened right after that plane crashed on Donnie Darko's fat fucking face. He woke up and he was Robert Graysmith drawing cartoons.
Yeah, because that whole movie could be a dream.
Max, was there anything major you wanted to bring up? We have a little time left.
Did it make you appreciate living in an era of San Francisco that wasn't stalked by the Zodiac?
Yeah.
Did it make you want to become the Zodiac?
Are you the Zodiac?
Hey. No, I'm pretty sure it's Ted Cruz.
On air? Ted Cruz. I made that joke earlier before we were recording.
I don't know
Ted
how
Cruz
you started that on the internet, but that's hilarious.
So good.
He looks exactly like that police sketch. It's uncanny. But yeah.
Also, I'm glad I did not live in Sacramento in the mid 1970s because that's when the Golden State Killer was
the
rampant.
BTK. Or is that a different thing?
No, BTK was in Kansas. The Golden State
Damn,
Killer
shit.
he was at first the East Area rapist when he was in Sacramento raping people, terrorizing people. It's horrible. If you look up that case, it's fucking a nightmare. Like the shit he did. He was the one that was just convicted this year.
They caught him.
These dudes are
They caught
hella
him in
uncool.
2018 from DNA evidence. And he's the most prolific serial offender in California history because he murdered 13 people, but he raped like around 50.
Jesus,
all across California.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's actually if they do a movie about that, Fincher should do it.
Oh yeah, give it to Fincher.
Fincher's just licking his lips. He's like, any day now.
It's actually a more fascinating case than the Zodiac, I think, because
because there's closure, or
there's closure,
thing?
and it's the investigation into him, the hunt for him. It's honestly, like if you look this stuff up, it's fascinating. It's fascinating.
But the clues is the hook for the Zodiac movie, right?
Yeah, but there's
You
a
get to
lot
put that in
of
the trailer and
the puzzles and
the ciphers. Like there's
know,
still
the
ciphers that
is what I
aren't
mean.
like
and he was writing letters
that aren't solved yet.
I
You'd
know, I
think that
bet.
people
I
have
do,
like solved the ciphers yet. That or at least a computer would have solved the cipher. You
right?
know what I mean?
You would
Like,
think that now you'd be able to scan it in and like
Just
fucking
like-
IBM's Watson would be like, so his name is
right.
he's at 138 this address. Like,
we're tracking his iPhone. I mean, we
Yeah.
can tell you literally where he is right
do
now.
you want us to turn the camera on?
Oh, he's on a plane. Oh, he's in Ecuador. Sorry, Mr. Chance. I don't know. I fucking think this movie's great.
It's very good.
And
It's really, really good.
I appreciate revisiting it because this was like one of my least favorites of his. And now I'm not stupid. No, I just appreciate it more. Exactly what we said. I appreciate slower things. I appreciate the details, the craftsmanship, all the performances, the nuance of it.
Yeah.
It's a 4.5 for me. Just because I'm not necessarily emotionally invested, which is something like the whole time, which is something I really value. Like I definitely like the tension and all that, and like there are moments, but it's Finn. He's very cold. It's clinical on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
But 4.5 easy.
I agree with that because same, like, because I agree, like some sort of emotional drawing storyline would have been great, but you just don't have the fucking time. You just don't. But I enjoyed it more than I like Mank, and I really liked Mank. So yeah, 4.5.
Josh, hit us with that 3.
I'm gonna give it a 3.5 for now, just because I enjoyed Mank a lot this week, and watching Zodiac last night, it was my first time, so I had to process a lot, and this conversation
That's totally respectable.
definitely helped, but I'm gonna give it, the scale 3.5 for me.
That lines up with what I thought. Max, hit me. Hit me with that.
Hit
me with that.
Go with a 5. I think it's really one of
there
my
it is,
favorites.
baby.
There it is.
Yeah.
I would say from memory, I mean, I think for me, it's like Social Network, Fight Club, 7, this.
Mm-hmm.
And Purple Rain.
That's not a Fincher
It's not a
movie.
Fincher movie.
Oh, sorry.
Maybe it
I thought you were
is.
just movies that you gave 5s to.
No. Well, Fincher's best movie is Alien 3. I think we can all agree.
I haven't seen that.
It goes Alien
It's pretty
3,
dope.
Benjamin Button, and then this. No,
Alien 3
this is very good.
I've seen 7, but I don't remember it that well. I saw it a long time ago.
Seven's
Seven's a good watch.
fucking great.
It's
I mean,
harder now though to watch because of.
it's harder now just because I love Kevin Spacey so much.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
I love him more.
It's like he's playing a fucking like deranged lunatic serial killer. I don't feel empathy for him. I don't find this particular.
No,
film
it's
difficult to
scarier
watch.
because like that seems like maybe it's just him.
Wow.
He didn't rape he didn't murder anyone. He definitely raped people.
Cool.
Cut off
So
Glenn.
before,
What's in the box?
Yeah, honestly, like that is pretty. That's a silly moment. It's hard to get over that.
No, don't look in there. It's not what you want to see. Sorry, Josh, what were you gonna say?
no, it's been a nice hearty episode, and I like to thank Max. We do have a special treat for everybody, but before that, we have a little snippet from Max. Max has treated us, so it's a little. We will introduce that when we're about to sign off. But for next week, our last episode.
Next
of the
week is
year.
our last episode, the final episode.
Oh wow.
of 3M Affairs for the year, and then we're taking a short break for the holidays, and we'll be back in January. So to end us off, I think it's my pick.
So
right?
I was part of the penultimate episode of the season.
It was just this went so poorly that I think we're gonna have to cancel.
Oh fuck!
Sorry.
I mean, I kind of had a feeling. I woke up at 6 a.m. today. I was like, they're probably not. They're not gonna go with
it. You ruined it for everybody.
Yeah, as I do.
No, I wanted to do a bona fide classic, a holiday favorite for the ages. I've never seen It's a Wonderful Life all the way through, so I'd like to do It's a Wonderful Life, Frank Capra, 1946. Yeah. Everybody likes it. They say it's a great movie.
Yeah.
We'll fucking find out, and we'll be the final word.
I cannot wait to hear why it's not a wonderful life.
What is it? Do you know what it's on?
In America, it is on Amazon Prime. I don't know about other poorer countries.
It might be HBO Max too.
I don't know if that's
could be on
true.
HBO Max.
HBO Max had Citizen Kane. That's how I watched it. Yeah, has a lot of old movies,
and they're both old and black and white.
We don't get HBO Max over here because we're not cool enough.
Is seriously not international?
No, we have Crave, and they're piping it all through there. So they're just piping it through another app. Yeah,
I'm almost positive that it's on Prime in Canada too. I feel like I checked.
I'm not worried about it at all. Yeah, I think it's somewhere for sure. Is it not on Criterion?
Nope,
that's weird.
It's on Prime.
Well, that's a great pick. I actually have never seen that movie all the way through either, so I should watch that as well.
You won't be joining.
I'm aware.
Oh, this is awkward.
This is awkward. Oh god. This is so awkward. I wish we had done this off the air. Yeah, no, it's not going to work out. We'll call you.
Okay.
Okay.
Also, I mean, just you should know it doesn't need to affect your decision whether you're going to call me or not. But I make candles on Etsy, so that's something.
What do you make them out of? This is important.
I'm not gonna tell you that.
Ooh, I like it.
Give all the secrets
Jesus. Let's just say see things.
Can you give us step one of the process?
What is your favorite scent of candle that you manufacture?
Sand.
All right, I'm buying a whole crate. All right, Josh, take us out before we keep doing this for hours.
Max, where can our listeners find you on social media, wherever?
Oh fuck! I mean, I have an Instagram.
Are you doing that thing? You have Instagram? What's your handle?
You do very funny videos on Instagram.
Yeah, there will be a video soon. Like I said before, I'm gonna come out with a little something that I'm collabing with on with a good friend of mine that's an amazing artist. So he's gonna have some funny Melania stuff. Let's just say that, and it's gonna be
don't feel like plugging.
It's gonna be superimposed with his art. It's gonna be superimposed in a video that has music that I'm doing that's my own arrangement of the song Carol the Bells, the "Hark how the bells, sweet silver bells." So it's just going to be a funny little thing, and that should be out soon. But other than that, I mean, I know you're about to play a little snippet of a thing I composed, but my website's not active right now, so you can't really go look at my music or anything, but I'm working on stuff, so your listeners can just stay tuned.
All right,
just fucking stay tuned, and I'm going to make some things.
Max, when you get your fucking shit together, you can come back on.
Okay.
And
I will, when I have promote. Real stuff. But my Instagram handle is a million Maximilians. That's what it is.
We'll link it.
We'll post that up.
We'll link it.
Right.
Yeah, whatever.
If you're listening to this, you don't have to write
that. And what is the piece that?
It's
called There and Gone. What you'll hear, it's just like a 30 or 40 second little taste of it. It's not the whole piece. Because the whole piece is 3 minutes long.
But a little taste.
It just gives you a little idea of hopefully the most emotionally compelling moments of it. Yeah.
Perfect. Exciting. Well, before we get to that, again, we're 3M Affairs podcast. I am Josh, and we're here with Caleb and Brandon. And special thank you to Max Pheifer for coming on and having this great conversation about David Fincher and all things music. And yeah.
Sorry.
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify.
If you're listening
to
this, you know
all this information.
You know where it is. You know where it is.
But if you want to come on YouTube and get those numbers up, I wouldn't be mad.
Yeah, put us on in the background for sure.
You guys post it on YouTube?
Oh man, they didn't even
We
know.
post on YouTube.
Yeah,
All right, so I need to start saying
I'm gonna
YouTube.
watch it
So
on
we'll
YouTube.
post on
I'll
YouTube.
watch it on YouTube now because it's nice to see your guys' faces as you make your comments.
Thanks, Max.
Oh well, we don't have videos. It's just audio on YouTube.
Well, we actually
But it is
do
a-
have video. We just haven't.
We now
done
have
them
video
up,
with
so-
Zoom,
All
yeah.
right, good. Fucking move up in the world.
All right. With that being said, we will when we come back next year, we'll have all of our ducks in a row for sure.
I just want to lose my COVID weight before I get on camera.
That's
Me
true.
too.
Yeah, I got to gain
All right,
COVID.
guys.
You
with
also
that.
want me to lose my COVID
Yeah.
weight? Max, seriously, come back anytime. You're the
Oh,
man.
Thank
thank
you
you
so much,
I
buddy.
love this. It was great. I'm gonna come back a lot.
a lot of fun.
I'm probably gonna come back too much,
well,
and you guys are gonna be like, you guys are gonna be like,
Again, we will let you know when we're ready.
all right, fine.
All right, bye.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening, and now enjoy a little There and Gone.